So, you want to know how to build in Tardis Flight Classic. Well, you've come to the right video. Before we begin, if you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Does help out. Don't have to though. And if you have any tips that aren't mentioned in this video, please slap them down in the comments. I'd love to hear from them. I'm not the best builder out there. I just know how to build. So, the first thing you want to do here, obviously, to get to the building area, is obviously you want to enter your Tardis. Locate the button that says Set Interior, this button here, or you can turn on the controls through pressing the crystal, or whatever the center thing is for your thing. You can set your interior, and this is the menu you go through, and you go through to decorate. This is how you build your interiors. So, first things first, private servers. They are really helpful. They save lag, and they save everybody else's lag. Then your chat is really cleared up. You don't have to worry about people coming into your Tardis and such. So I'll go ahead and play the clip that I just recorded. I'll be back. For those of you that do not know, if you look here, private servers are free, and you can create a private server through this button here. And you can access it by clicking on the servers menu here, and as you can see, I've got my private server here. And you can invite all your friends through the configure menu. And, well, you can go through the configure menu. You can change the name of your server. So I can change it to, don't forget the caps. Building server, because this is my server I used to build. And you can add people who are allowed and generate a little link, which you can copy right there, onto the second tip. Alright, so now, when building, the second tip is the canvas interior. If you go to set interior, you can notice that you can, I'm not a very steady hand, the moment you see change all, it's all set to custard, you can change it all of that to be like this. I mean, that's pretty cool, isn't it? I don't know which one it is. You know what? Here's another tip. Handles on the side here. Not an official tip, so we're just going to slap that as 2.5. Alright, cool. So, but, canvas. You go through all these, and there's one called canvas. I guess I could have gone backwards there. You press this little button here, or your space bar, and it will load you up in one that looks like this. Now, of course, say you want a different console, you just gotta make sure the room is set to canvas. All you do is set the console, set it the way you like. If that's what you like, that's what you use. Alright. So, let me just go ahead and load up one of my builds here. So, with this one, I do want to show off the increment system. So, if we go to decorate interior here, when moving things around, you can find that it's a little annoying because it gets a little difficult. Things don't set right. In fact, actually, these chairs are floating. I did not know that. I know that now. I'm not going to fix it, but say, you want to set it to a certain thing. Movement increment, 10. It will now move 10 spaces in whichever direction you move it. 1. And it will not go any less than 1. So that's how you could that's how the movement increments work. And the rotation increment is also really helpful because when you are doing stuff like placing walls and you have to move them by about 90 degrees, eyeballing it isn't always the best. It's about 90 there, right? That's not perfect at all. So what you can do is you can set the rotation increment to 90. I'd always set it to either 90 or 45, but set it how you need. Look at that. Perfect rotation. 45 if you want some angles. And definitely take your time with all this. That brings us to, we're on what? Third tip. So we're on the third tip, which was the increments. So, fourth tip, take your time. Please. I've got a list here. And I realize I don't have a webcam on. Whatever. So, take your time on this. Like, please. It does save you. If you take your time and work really hard, it's not too hard. Well, it gets pretty difficult, I'm not gonna lie. But this brings us to our next tip, which is number 4. Let me find a pen real quick. Okay, little bits. Stuff like this is made out of a bunch of little bits. Bunches and bunches of little bits. This toilet, made out of a bunch of little bits. There are a bunch of other things made that I've used that are made of little bits. I probably could have used a crate there. Crates are really helpful, definitely use them, because if you notice, this flooring is red is all one thing, but each black is a crate, which crates spawn in at an increment of 2.5 for those of you who like to use crates. So that's, I guess, another tip there. I'm not really going to say the numbers out loud because I don't know what number we're on right now. So, definitely while you're doing this, believe in yourself because you really can do it. It'll get difficult. It'll get annoying. It'll get tedious. You really can do it. Another thing, walls. Do them like this. Like, really don't do like I did in one of my builds and do one giant slab. Like, even this is better than one giant slab. Yeah, it's a bunch of big slabs, and I probably could have just done something a little smaller. But the flooring and the roofing, you can really do a little bit better than, like, you can do bigger than the walls. It's not too big a deal. But the walls here, like, I believe these are literally wall pieces. They're called platform plane. Okay, I believe there's a wall bit, though, in there. Yeah, there's a wall now. That's really helpful. I don't think there was a wall when I built this thing. There might have been, though. But I'm just a little stupid. Either way. So, that also brings me to the color palettes. Let's talk about the color palettes. First of all, if you'll notice, there's a little thing called link, which usually is green, like that. Now, I do want to find something that is linked to mess with, because that's going to be a little bit better. Are these linked? Yes, they are linked. So, while things are linked, you can change their color. This was another possible color for this. I'm going to need to move that. Yeah, so, and while that is set in link, all of these crates, every crate in this game, has now gone blue. But say I don't want all of the crates to be blue. Say I want this one to be black. You turn off the link. This one here. I don't know what happened there. Either way, you turn off the link to where it turns white. Boom. Now it's black. I'm going to, of course, turn the link back on. Not sure what that'll do. There you go. Turn everything black again. Another thing is copy and paste for colors, which is something I wish I'd known when I built this, but you know, you can come in here, if you look, copy, C, press C, then you come over here to this platform, which I like, which I would want to be red, paste it. I wish I had done that when I built this thing, but I didn't. Too late now, because it's already kind of released out there. Anyhow, so, now, let's see. Alright, here we go. References. When you're building, like, obviously not always a reference, but whenever you're building something, especially like the FNAF 1 diner, go online and really, like, don't be afraid to go online and look at references. I went online, found the schematics for this, and I looked at it the whole time. And that's what I based this whole thing off of. I could have done better, definitely, but I think I did pretty good. Even got the janitor's closet in there. Nice little mop. You know, but definitely look for some references online. Find what things look like, get a good look at them, and find how you can make them better. Spheres are also pretty helpful. Crates and spheres are like my favorite because they're really helpful. Crates, spheres, platform plane, Those are really helpful. Definitely, I think I mentioned take your time, right? If I didn't, just in case I didn't, take your time. Always good to reinstate that, you know? And while I'm still on this, so also for references, you not just stuff online, but see, you want to make a circle shape, you take a circle, like so, and you just use it to be able to get these working properly. So you'll duplicate that, kind of get it the right way. Make sure your rotation increment is set so you're not doing some weird rotation. And then you kind of just eyeball it. So unfortunately, these things aren't exactly perfect circles. And that's how you would make a circle. And pivot points are also useful if you have both these selected. Duplicate them. Set the pivot point as this right here. Well, set it as rotate and set the pivot point as that right there. You can now rotate these around here. And that can also get you a perfect circle if you didn't feel like using this as a complete reference. Because this is going to get you a better circle. I definitely would have started with just one, but you know, it's up to you and all. Because I will move on to that other build, because I can demonstrate some of the other tips there. While I'm on this one, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, every build I do, I will always have a console room for each builder. If there's only one, that means I did it by myself. If there's multiple, that means I did it with friends. This console room, I built. One much space because I actually couldn't push anything past this area. This is only here because the object was big enough. So I didn't get much space for my console room, but my friends who helped me got to decorate their console rooms. Looks pretty slick. We had to keep some of the blue off this wall here because it kind of shined in, and it does a little bit. You can kind of see it, but it's not as noticeable. And then there's also this room that a friend of mine helped. I don't remember who had which room. Either way, I did most of the work here, but towards the end, they came in and helped out, and it was so much. It was loads of help. Like, really, don't be afraid to ask for help. But that also does not mean you should go out and ask strangers for help. Do not go up to a stranger and ask them to help you with your build. I've had a couple people go, "Can you help me? I want this finished, but I don't know what to do." And I've told them, no. So to clarify, because I realized I really wasn't as clear as I should have been about this, when they were like asking for help, heavy air quotations, they wanted me to do their build for them. And then they wanted to kind of take all that credit, and it was, I didn't know these people. They weren't wanting my help per se, they wanted me to just, they did like a tiny bit, and then they wanted me to do the rest, because they see my builds, they're like, "Oh, you must know how to build really well. Do my build for me." And no, I'm not doing your build for you, you know? That kind of defeats the point of it, calling it your build. Because I'm not building a Tardis for someone else. Like, they were wanting me to do a War Doctor's Tardis, which was really, it was annoying in the sense of I'm not good at console rooms, if you couldn't tell. I'm just not that good. And then they also were like, after I said, no, I'm not good at console rooms, they're like, "Well, could you build me a random Tardis?" And it was like, no. I'm not building somebody else a Tardis. I build these things for me. I build them because I want them, you know? One of those things that, like, you know, some people want to, they look around for others to trade for a Tardis they want. Instead of trading, if I want a Tardis, I'm going to build it. So that's how that's kind of working for me. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one because I think, yep, I think we're moving on to the, what we should do. So this next interior brings us to the next couple of tips. So, let's summon it. Of course, the exterior is just a door because I just built this house Tardis. And the first thing I want to point out is when you spawn everything, you need to press R. Anytime you spawn anything in, unless you're like taking one of these walls and you spawn it in off a wall and then you spawn it in and move it over, but like the first thing you spawn in, anytime you spawn something in that's not like duplication of something else. Like this is made of a bunch of crates so that I could make the flooring different without having to redo the actual flooring. So I built it out of a bunch of crates. You kind of see there. Like, obviously you don't need to do that for those, but when you spawn something in for the first time, reset the rotation. Because some things in this house are tilted and others aren't, and you'll see it here. It's tilted downwards and that way, just slightly, and it really bugs me, but I'm not going to fix it because I really don't want to fix it. I don't want to go through and fix it. And so this bathtub, let me load up the decorator for this because this is a really cool bathtub. I hope you would agree. I'm really proud of it. Which, real quick, brings me to appreciate your effort. Like, if you put effort in something, like, really appreciate that effort. Don't look at it and say this is trash. Look at it and at least say, I put effort into this. So, if I hop into the decorator right here, though, you will find that a floor is made out of that, and these bits and bobs are that size. That is it. That big. Nothing bigger than that. Actually, I think I put that in just right. Anyhow, not that it matters because, you know, obviously I'm not staying here. But yeah, this goes into the little bits, and it goes into the, what does this go into? This goes into selecting multiple items at once. Because, like, if I had to make this out of little bits, that's going to be annoying. So, you can either hold shift or control. I'd recommend shift considering control D is duplicate. So, I'd recommend shift, but if you hold shift, click, and you can even use this to change the color of multiple parts at once without changing every part's color. So you can select all these parts. Of course, I'd select like a row or something. Duplicate the bad boys. Set your movement increment however you need. And now you have random bits and bobs. You can move them, you can do whatever you want. Now, there is some strange phenomena with moving. Like, can I get it to do it? Here we go, that might do it. Nope. So sometimes when you move things, they will move in different directions when you move groups of things at once. It's a little difficult to make it do, but you know, you can also rotate them all at once. Get some nice spinny action going. But see, you can also take like this chunk of wall, maybe that chunk of wall, and you can rotate them around that chunk of wall. So that's a rotation tip there. You can rotate things around a circle. Like say we've got like this pole here, right? Say I were to take a block. What would be good for this? Excuse me, here we go. Take a chair. I can duplicate this chair, and you can set a pivot point. That's what I've been doing. I realized I never explained what I was doing. But you set the pivot point on something that's not the item, and the item will now pivot around that point in a perfect circle. So you could make a weird chair abomination just by rotating around a different object. Set it to this object, and now it'll spin really fast because it's super far away. You really get it to move anywhere with this rotation system. It's really neat, and it really does help out for all sorts of building. So I definitely recommend doing that. So, another thing, one of the last things here, is your signature. Not important. Well, pretty important. To me, it's very important. It really depends on who you are. But somewhere in your Tardis, you want your signature. This is my signature. Goes in all of my builds. It also sits on the shirt of my character. Of course, the R is hidden by my Infinity Gauntlet. King the game. Either way, that's my little symbol there. Like, you know, don't be afraid to slap your signature on things. It's really nice, because then nobody can claim it. And I believe this is the last tip. Background noise. Like, really does help. Now, I mean, it depends on who you are. This is another one of the optional ones. The last two here are pretty optional. But, to me, it helps out so much. Like, it is insane how much background noise helps out. Listen to the Distractible podcast, the Edge of Sleep podcast. Listen to music. Whatever you feel like listening to, whatever gets you motivated. It'll keep your brain from wandering, really, you know, I'll keep it focused. I guess, wait, last thing here, is you notice at the top here, it says auto-saved interior. Well, that's because if I were to, oops, I just deleted my Tardis. You know, I didn't save. That happens. I've had big crash. If you look up here, autosave, load. Boom, it's gonna load the autosave with all these things in the air. I didn't save that. If I load up the actual house Tardis, it's not gonna have all those little bits and bobs in the air. It's not gonna have a rotated chair, which is really fun to watch loading. It's just gonna be normal. Which I will probably be releasing this to the public soon. So, thank you for watching. If you have any other tips, please drop them in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see gaming content from me, coming pretty soon. Don't know how soon. Please don't ask. I don't know. But soon. That's all I can tell you. I will be bringing gaming content back to the channel. It is the summer. You know, I'm getting back into it. So that'll be really fun. And just thank you for watching and have a good night, you know?